I would now like to invite Nick Peel to give an acceptance speech on behalf of the honorands.
Here we go then. Lord Mayor and distinguished guests, it falls to me on behalf of my fellows and honorands to thank you for the honour that you've bestowed upon us. Thank you very much. 19 years, nearly, I've been working at the Guildhall, and I'd like to tell you that every day has been an absolute pleasure. I'd like to. Some of them have been frustrating, exasperating, but actually every day has been worthwhile. We have always achieved most of what we wanted to achieve at the start of the day. We've always achieved the best that we can in terms of putting on productions, and that has been an honour in itself, to be able to be doing that with the lovely students that I've had to do that with, and the lovely students I've had to do that with, of course. Yes. I was going to say, well, the last time I was addressing an audience of this size, it was in Glasgow in 1992 at the BEC2 Union Conference, and I started my speech, "Comrades, Nick Peel, Royal Shakespeare Company, London branch." I can't remember what I was speaking about, but it was good, and I think we won that one. So, there's a lot of clapping today. There's lots of people going to come up on this stage, and you have to clap them all. Now, I would give you some advice. Having done this ceremony several times, don't clap too hard. Your hands will get sore. You won't be able to hold your Prosecco later. Mostly what I want to speak to you about is luck. You are very lucky people. You could have had Guildhall graduate and Hollywood film star Hayley Atwell giving you this speech, but unfortunately she had to come in the morning, so you've got me instead. You lucky, lucky people. But that Hayley, on that note, she has done all right since I lit her at the Guildhall. Why else are you lucky? You're all lucky because you're all phenomenally talented. I've spent 19 years wandering around hearing things coming out of rooms that just sound beautiful, watching shows that were beautifully lit by my students and beautifully acted by actors, beautifully stage managed, beautifully costumed, etc. You are all phenomenally talented people. You have to be talented because you got into Guildhall. That's an achievement in itself, and that's a tribute to the talent that you had when you started. But to get to this point, you've all built on that luck. You've all worked. Some of you have worked very hard indeed. Many of you have been up all night, some of you for good fun, some of you to get some essay handed in on time. But you've all worked hard, you've all improved, and now here we are. You've done it, and you get to graduate. You're lucky to have been at Guildhall enjoying the fine facilities. Milton Court, for example, has expanded what we can achieve massively. And we know that in production arts, how good the equipment we get to use is. But stand by, governors, because we will still need new purchases of new equipment, because our equipment wears out and goes obsolete very quickly. When I started lighting, when I started working in lighting, it's probably 30 years ago now, we had one job for every lantern. It had one colour, it pointed in one place, and it was controlled by one finger on a lighting desk. So there was a limit to how many things you could do at once. Now that everything is digital, all our moving lights move by themselves and change colour and do all sorts of different complex things. We can do millions of times as much as we used to do. And the only limits now are the imagination of the lighting designers. The physical limits are much reduced into what we can do by lighting. That's been an amazing process to follow. Right, you are lucky for another reason. You're graduating as part of a group of Guildhall graduates. You walk out into a ready-made network that will help you to find work. It will help you to keep working. I know that my technical theatre graduates continue to work with each other years and years later and call each other first when they need people to help with projects. One this summer was building the pop-up Rose Theatre in York, and many Guildhall graduates were working on that pop-up theatre because they were the first people that he chose to call, because he knows that Guildhallers can do the job. You're lucky you have this network. You can also keep in touch with the school. I like to keep in touch with my graduates. They come back to me sometimes for advice, sometimes for a chat, sometimes just to borrow equipment. That's the normal one. If you're a fringe lighting designer and you've got a limited budget, the more kit you can blag off someone else, the better your show will be, the more likely you are to get observed, noticed, and get on in your career. So if I can help, I will always help them. I call it after-sales service. It works both ways, though, because some of the work I've done that was mentioned with the Opera House Education Department, I got involved in lighting their youth opera and their school's ballet in what used to be in the old Limbury Theatre in the Opera House. And I have glorious memories of sitting behind that production desk, kind of escaping from Guildhall for a week to go and be the big I am, be the lighting designer in the Opera House, and being surrounded by a whole gang of my graduates who all chose to come that day and sit with me and advise me backwards. It was a lovely thing to do. And to be surrounded by people you've taught who are then teaching you and helping you learn was a fantastic thing. Finally, you're going to be lucky because you're about to go out there and work doing something that you enjoy doing. None of us come into this entertainment world because it's something that we think we're going to make a lot of money out of. Hopefully you don't do that. Hopefully you do it because you want to do it. And because you want to do it, you're going to enjoy doing it, and you get to go out and do that for yourselves. It is hard. It will be frustrating. It will be exasperating. One of the things is you will be your own harshest critic. Remember, though, that we all notice stuff more acutely than the audience does. Half of the things we do, if we do it slightly wrong, they don't even notice. Rory Beaton, who graduated from here a couple of years ago and is now, at present, at this very moment, designing the lighting on Così fan tutti in Silk Street, he quoted me back to myself when he came back in the theatre. He told me that I'd said to him, if you can get a few wow moments in your lighting, in a show, then you've lit it well. Just a few, just a handful. If you can get about a third to a half of the show that you think is lit properly and lit beautifully, you're producing award-winning stuff. This is brilliant lighting. And if the whole show is perfectly lit, no one could have done it any better. Either you need to retire now and give somebody else a chance, or your critical judgment is shot to pieces. I'm really grateful that I've had the opportunity to build and maintain a career messing about with the lights. I hope to do a few more years of it, making wow moments, making some of them myself, and especially helping others to make them. I hope that you all get to do the same in your chosen field. So, if you're going to stay up all night tonight, whether for work or fun or to get some, I hope that you get lucky and stay lucky. Thank you.